What if your spirit guides have been reaching out to you, but you've just been missing their signs? Join us as we discuss spirit communication. Welcome to Creating Soul Growth. I'm Marlene McNaughton, joined by my dear friend and co-host, Ann Fernandez. We're here to empower and inspire you on your soul's journey. Hi everyone, I'm Marlene McNaughton, joined by my dear friend and co-host, Ann Fernandez.
Hi everyone, looking forward to today's topic.
Thank you for joining us. Today, Ann and I will be discussing how we can communicate with spirit, the unique ways our spirit guides communicate with us, and how we can recognize their signs and messages. So, Ann, I know we both believe that communicating with spirit is a natural part of being human, and that every human being has a team of loving spirits connected to them who want to communicate. Could you share who you believe these spirits are?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. So the spirits can be many forms, if you will. Like, for instance, you and I both, we made a connection with Michael the Archangel and many other, guides, angels, ascended masters. However, they can also be family members, friends, people who have just, passed and on the other side. So spirit guides can come in many forms and from many different levels. I know that you and I have shared our personal stories about that. So what are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree, Anne. And I feel that the spirits we communicate with can be loved ones, angels, archangels, masters of the collective of source, and our spirit guides. So like you, I believe there are so many different forms of spirit that we can communicate with. And actually, I'd like to go a little deeper into this because I also believe our spirit guides are part of us. So while I believe that we're all one with Source, I also interpret our souls are unique fractal expressions of Source. And every soul is a collective of distinctive expressions formed through our experiences and our growth and our lives, our past lives, and our concurrent lives. So with this understanding, I feel our spirit guides are a loving, unique aspect of our own soul. In other words, I understand spirit guides are an aspect of us. So I'm wondering how you feel about this.
So that's a very interesting theory. I agree with the oneness and the connection with everything. I agree that everything is connected. And really, if you want to keep going further down the rabbit hole with that, it's everything. Everything is absolutely one, right? Everything and everyone. So yes, so to some degree, I feel that they are aspects of us, but perhaps, and this is just my own personal experience, but perhaps maybe their journey on this level, on other levels, they have evolved, to a certain level that they can now help us and assist us and teach us.
Right. Because I think I need to clarify, because when I say spirit guides, I'm talking about who we're working with, opposed to we also have the masters communicate with us. When I'm saying spirit guides, they're a part of our soul. Did you feel that I was saying that the masters are us as well, or?
Oh, no, I got that.
Oh,
I
okay. I
absolutely
gotcha.
got that. And I like that you brought that up because I hadn't really thought much about that before. So this was good. It stimulated some, further thinking within me. So
Right.
thank you for that.
Right. So, and we all have different experiences. So,
Right.
yeah, that was the feeling that I got, is that our spirit guides are the ones that I communicated with were from my soul.
So I wanted to share something about that, if I may, Marlene. I had an experience where I could see that different aspects of my own soul were somewhere out there having different experiences. So therefore, what you're saying makes sense to me.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. My spirit guides referred to human beings as a runner with a baton because we're
Ah,
all on the same team.
right,
We're one with our soul, but
right,
we've chosen to come to earth to help our soul grow.
right.
So that's the whole thing. For them to say that we're a runner with a baton that we're one team. But
Right.
I don't think that it's just our soul's aspect that we're in communication with. So you're saying that there's other dimensions of who we
Absolutely.
are that also are in existence is what I think you're talking about. Correct, Dan? We're really
Right.
getting deep here. And we've only just started.
I know, right?
But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying, and as you know, that I like to share from experience, and so do you. So even though we may, taking knowledge and information from what other people share, I believe we share from our own individual experiences as well. And so I agree with everything you've been saying, different aspects of our own soul, our own spirit guides, and then we have guides like ascended masters and so on that are on different levels, perhaps.
Yes, part of the collective. I completely
Right.
agree. I'd
Yeah.
also like to bring up a little bit about the blueprint because many people believe we come with a blueprint, which I agree. I believe we come with a blueprint.
Right.
But I was actually told our blueprint is fluid. And I was told that our blueprint, that our guides, they actually called this fluidity of our blueprint mapping.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
what they had said that I learned that we have a council of our spirit guides that are the highest aspect of our soul. So are you familiar? Have you spoken to your guides about the council? Because I believe that we can reach out. This is why I'm bringing this up because it's about communication, that we can ask the highest aspects of our soul, our council, to help us with the mapping of our lives because our
Right.
blueprint is fluid.
Very interesting. So you said council, right? The council. Yeah. So this reminds me and sort of reconfirms an experience I had many years ago. And that was in a meditation, a council of 12 showed up. And basically, they were initially like all looking at me, sort of sitting around a table and sort of tapping their hands. And I said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "Well, you have the answers now, so we're here to tell you, get on with it." You
They do have a sense of humor.
They do, yeah. But what I discovered was that even when I was unaware, they were always guiding me through different challenges in my life. And so I learned how to go to them and ask questions and have a discussion when I was going through something. So,
And that's actually why I brought this up. I feel people need to know we have these councils that are
right,
a part of our soul
right,
that we can reach out to who are there to help us, but we have to
right,
reach out to them and
right.
we have to invite them into our lives.
Right, right, exactly. And that's what I love about all of this on the spiritual journey is that we always have free choice and free will, like you always say. And we have to ask, you know, who was it that said, ask and you shall receive?
Yes, right. Yeah. There's
So,
some truth. There is truth to that.
absolutely, yes.
So let's talk about a few ways that we can invite this communication into our lives and how do you feel we can start a relationship with our guides?
Yes. So, you know what I'm going to say as number one, right?
Yes, I do.
Meditate. Because I've been meditating my whole life, and I feel that it has been a wonderful support for my life journey. It just allows me to separate myself from my thinking mind, from all the chaos out there in the world, and to connect with my own soul, my own spirit, my own whatever divine essence, whatever you choose to call it. Um, and so I feel meditation for me is number one. And I talked about this on another podcast that we did, that it doesn't have to be where you meditate for hours. There are so many ways to be able to do that. But the point is, going within is a wonderful way to connect with your spirit guides.
Yes, I agree. And then raising your vibration, because that's what you're doing in meditation. It's
Right.
about, we're energy beings. I don't
Yep.
think people talk about that enough, that we're energy beings. So
Right.
it's about clearing our energy and raising our vibration and to communicate with our guides. They're a very high vibrational loving energy. we need to raise our vibration to be in
Right.
alignment with theirs, is what I believe.
Yes, completely. And how can you raise our vibration, right? We can do it in so many ways. Listening
Right,
to music, dancing,
right,
singing, listening to a positive, uplifting podcast. There's a million ways to do it. Go for
right.
a walk in nature, right? Many, many ways to raise your vibration. And obviously, the world we live in, it's not an easy thing to do. But I think, like anything else in life, the more you practice something, the easier it becomes.
Yes, yes, I totally agree with that. And it really is about the choices we make because it's the perspective we see of things. I
Right,
mean, maybe we see something on the TV and it's awful, but
right,
instead of choosing to be caught up in the negative energy of it, we
right,
can feel compassion for the situation and those involved and send loving energy to the situation.
right.
And it's a choice we make to
Yes,
have our energy stay in that raised vibration.
absolutely. And you just reminded me of something I do every morning. And I hopefully this can be a tool for our listeners too, is before I even get out of bed, as soon as I open my eyes, I just say thank you. So gratitude, I think, is also a wonderful energy, if you will, or vibration to start your day with. So raising your vibration, gratitude, there's so many different ways. But one of the important things, and I wanted to ask you about this, is I feel that always checking in and clearing and cleansing your energy physically, emotionally, spiritually, and just letting go of what doesn't serve you anymore. What do you think
I
about that?
totally agree that we do need to cleanse our energy. And
Yeah,
so I'd like to hear from you, not to get off topic, but just
sure.
if you could elaborate on that, because I know how I feel. I cleanse and clear my energy, and I ask for all the energy that no longer serves me to be removed. And
Yeah,
I also cleanse and clear my chakras because I learned that from my guides that I was told we're to do that daily. So I haven't heard a lot of people agree with that, but that's my belief. So I'm just
yeah.
interested in how do you feel that we can cleanse and clear our energy?
Absolutely. So those things that you shared and the chakra cleanse, and I think that's important. I also like once in a while cleansing my space, that I'm in. So I will use sage, and so there are many different things you can do. You can use crystals, you can use, you know, things from the outside world, from outside yourself to cleanse and remove negative energy. However, I think the one thing that is powerful, no matter what you use as a tool, that intention is the most powerful thing that you can use. That's the most powerful tool. So if you set that intention, I am releasing, I am letting go. Even if you just use your breath, each time I breathe out, I am releasing what no longer serves me. That intention is what sets the tone.
Yes, and I think setting an intention really goes hand in hand with prayer because a
Mhm.
prayer is really putting our intention into
Right.
words that we're sharing with the divine. So
Absolutely. Yes.
I yes, and setting an intention is us focusing our mind on letting the universe know this is the direction we intend to go in.
Right. Right.
It's
Because,
embracing our power. Yeah.
well, because we both said this before, we are the creators.
Yes.
We are the creators. Whatever we think, do, say, feel, we're creating.
Well, and going on that line about creating, I also feel with our counsel, with our spirit guides, that they're there to co-create with us. But we have to invite them
Yes.
into our lives because
Right.
they'll help us, but we have to ask for their
Right.
support.
Right. Yes. I support that 100%. Absolutely. We do have to ask. Yeah, and
Yes.
and that's another thing that you can sometimes, even when I'm busy doing housework, I'll talk to my spirit guides, and I'll do exactly that. I'll say, "Oh, And I talk to them just like I'm talking to you, you
Yes.
know, with sometimes with a sense of humor, and I'll just say, hey, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Can you help me here? And
I
it's
feel
interesting.
they do have a sense of humor.
I
I
know, right?
completely agree.
And 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 I'm curious if you've had this experience too. It's not sometimes that right away you get this, answer that changes everything in your life, but all of a sudden you're busy doing something else, and this feeling or thought or intuition wells up inside of you, and you go, ah, there's the answer. You know?
Yes. They're always there, and it's just like you said, a matter of being open to their
Right,
communication and their
right,
signs.
right.
So
Yes,
now that we've explored how to communicate, let's talk about how spirit communication looks, because as you know, spirit can communicate in so many different forms. So, as you were just saying, so let's. I'm interested from your perspective on what ways do you
sure.
believe spirit can give their
Well,
messages and their signs?
well, with my sense of humor, as you're asking that question, I was going to say sometimes they can give you a poke. I mean, sometimes literally you'll feel something gently touching you, right? Sometimes there'll be like everything is still and a wind comes up. It could be something you notice that you never noticed before. You're right. There is just so many ways. And I think the point is, Marlene, is that it can be subtle so that we have to be open to the subtlety around us because that is how they will respond. Maybe a song comes up all of a sudden that you haven't heard in a while,
Yes,
you
and we
know?
can even ask for symbols. We can ask for them to send us signs.
Right.
Some
Yeah.
people, my sign is an owl, but some people have
Mhm.
cardinals. Everybody can. You can just ask for. I asked for feathers from my mother, and
Oh,
even right before this podcast, in my bedroom, out of the blue, a small feather appeared, and
wow.
it was just a little one, but it wasn't there before
Oh,
I started getting ready, and there was no way that I know it was my mom giving me a sign that
oh,
she was with me. So I'm just saying that, but I could have looked at it as, oh, the air must have done it, but I knew I was the only one
sure.
in the room. So,
Right.
but I'm just saying that sometimes people, if it's in our path, we don't pay attention to it.
Right.
And
Right.
you need to, if you were thinking to someone and then there's a feather there, you
Right.
have to feel if that energy makes you think of that person to see, was it that person? And then maybe you'll get another feather and then you'll get a confirmation. A lot of
Right.
people get those with dimes. Have you heard that?
Oh, yes,
I know a
absolutely.
lot of people. I
Yes.
know people that get lots of dimes from loved
Yes,
ones.
I find them quite often. It makes me think about the most important thing is that we have to learn to trust what we feel. We have to learn to trust our intuition and what comes up because, people will say things like, oh, that's just a feather, doesn't mean anything. There was probably a bird that went by. But I think if you just allow yourself, if you get out of your thinking mind and stop judging everything, and just allow yourself to say, okay, maybe that is meaningful. Maybe it's from a spirit, whatever it is. The more you do that, the more that you're developing your own intuition. So I think trusting is the key, trusting what you get.
Yes, and that falls into what I was going to bring up because the messages can sound like our thoughts. So we have to understand that if it has a loving vibration to it,
Right,
this could be a message from our guides
right.
because their messages do sound like our thoughts.
Yep,
So I'd actually like to talk about that how we can distinguish the difference between what is a thought and what is a message from them in the form of a thought that sounds like us.
right. So in other words, how to discern, right? That's a tough one, don't you? Because, that is difficult because, let's face it, as human beings, we live here, right? And our mind only knows duality, right or wrong, left or right, and that's it. So, but I feel that when we can drop down beyond our thinking mind and go into our hearts, I think that's where we can discern. And I learned something not too long ago where now when something comes up and I feel confused because I'm here, I put my hand over my heart and I just ask, what do I need to know? And I trust what comes up.
Yes. I feel the same way. It's
Yeah.
about if it has a loving vibration, Anne. I mean,
Right.
if there's chatter in your mind and there's nervousness, I feel that when the messages are from, our loving guides, that
Right.
it's got a calm sense to it. There's not
Yes.
all the chatter. There's not any unworthiness. Like
Right.
we tend to become our own worst critics.
Yeah.
They're not going to be critical, is what
Right.
I'm trying to say. That it's not going to be fear based. It's just going to be a
Right.
loving vibe.
Right. Yes. And again, I think it's just practicing trusting yourself, even if you're thinking that it seems foolish or whatever. Just surrender to it. And after a while, you will begin to really connect with that part of yourself that is your intuition, your heart, whatever you want to call it. But it's just letting go and trusting.
And recognizing the ego mind. I think if you
Yeah.
focus on that, then
Right.
you can see the discernment of the two. And like you
Right.
said, it's about the feeling because
Right.
our guides are going to communicate to us. It's going to be a loving feeling.
Yes. And it just reminded me to share this. The body becomes very important because we always think, okay, that all the spiritual connection, all the spiritual stuff is sort of out here. But a lot of times there's parts of our bodies where we can feel something. Like, as a matter of fact, when something doesn't feel right, you sort of feel a uncomfortable feeling in your gut.
Yes.
When it feels right, you just feel this sort of freeing, light, sense within you. So the body can also help you with
Oh,
discernment as well.
completely agree because if you go into a place and you have a sick feeling in your gut,
Yeah,
that's your intuition telling
right,
you this the vibration where you're at is not in alignment
right,
with your heart.
right.
And we need to listen to that and not ignore it. We need to
Yes,
act upon it too.
yes.
Yeah. So do you feel that when you receive their messages that you feel a sense of calm?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I smile all the time anyway, but I have even a bigger smile and I feel joy. I feel at peace. I would
Yes.
say just feeling at peace.
Right. And the reason I brought that up is because people can compare the two, that from the ego mind,
Yeah,
that when you're going to have that chaos in our lives and the busyness,
right,
that's going to be, if your mind's like that too, you're not going to receive their messages.
right.
That's why the
Exactly.
meditation is such a beautiful tool to include in our spiritual journey.
Right. I agree.
So, well, we've covered quite a bit today, Anne. Before we close, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I would just hope for everyone to stay open-minded, to just be open and to trust that spirit guides are always there. And whether it's a loved one that's passed over or ascended masters or angels, that they're always there for us. And so I invite our audience to just stay open.
Yes, I completely agree because it's really about what we choose to have as our belief system.
Right.
So if we're going to choose to not believe in them, we're going to not communicate with them. So it's up to us to take it upon ourselves to learn.
Right.
We're eternal beings.
Right.
So, and the spirits are how we can communicate with who we are.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
So, just to bring this all together, I'd like to reflect on why do our spirit guides communicate with us? To me, the heart of all of this is that we're not meant to do this alone. They're there for us, but it's just a matter of us creating a relationship with our guides and opening the doors to welcome them into our lives to help us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If this conversation resonated with you, we'd be grateful if you'd consider subscribing or sharing it. Until next time, may we all live fully in every moment because our presence is where our power is. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.